Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have to say, the more I hear about what's coming up in General Hospital this summer, the more I find myself shaking my head and thinking, well, that changes everything. I've watched plenty of sacrifices, betrayals, and unexpected reunions over the years, but something about Valentine's situation feels especially heartbreaking. The man has spent so much time running, hiding, and trying to protect the people he loves that it seems the bill is finally coming due. At the same time, Jason is heading back to Port Charles, and if there's one thing longtime viewers know, it's that things never stay calm when Jason Morgan walks back into town. What really caught my attention was Valentine's emotional farewell to Charlotte. As a father myself, I can't help but feel the weight behind those moments. When a parent starts preparing a child for the possibility of never seeing them again, that's not just another soap opera twist. That's fear. That's regret. That's a man carrying the consequences of years of difficult choices. I kept thinking that Valentine sounded like someone who already knew he was stepping into danger, yet he was willing to do it anyway. In a strange way, that's what has always made Valentine such a fascinating character to me. He can be manipulative, secretive, and frustrating, but when it comes to Charlotte, his love has always felt genuine. Then there's the mystery surrounding this mysterious Z connected to the WSB. Folks, I don't know about anyone else, but whenever General Hospital starts dropping cryptic clues like this, I immediately start looking for the hidden pieces. The possibility that Serena Baldwin could be connected to the story adds another layer of intrigue. If that rumor turns out to be true, the entire balance of power could shift. Port Charles has a habit of bringing people back when you least expect it, and those returns rarely happen without consequences. What makes this storyline even more interesting is the complicated situation developing between Carly and Valentine. I've got to admit, I never imagined I'd see Carly putting herself on the line for Valentine the way she appears to be doing. Yet here we are. The more I think about it, the more I suspect that Carly sees something in Valentine that most people refuse to acknowledge. Maybe she sees a man trying to redeem himself. Maybe she sees someone who has lost almost everything. Or maybe she simply refuses to let others decide who deserves a second chance. Of course, this being Port Charles, nobody is going to make things easy for them. Sonny is already looking for ways to drive a wedge between Carly and Valentine, and that sounds exactly like the kind of brewing storm that can tear relationships apart. When Sonny sets his mind on something, he usually doesn't stop until he gets results. Bringing Brick into the situation tells me that this conflict could become much bigger than a simple disagreement between former lovers. And then there's Lulu. Honestly, I can understand why she would panic after learning Carly has been hiding Valentine and allowing Charlotte to spend time with him. From Lulu's perspective, it probably feels like history is repeating itself all over again. Every time Valentine appears to be moving toward peace, another secret surfaces and drags everyone back into chaos. The fact that Valentine may eventually turn to Laura for help suggests that he realizes just how badly things are spiraling out of control. What really has me intrigued, though, is the return of Anna Devane. If there's one person capable of turning this entire story upside down, it's Anna. She's returning with information, anger, and emotional scars from everything she endured. That combination is dangerous, very dangerous. The Anna we're likely to see now won't be the calm, patient investigator people remember. This sounds like a woman who has suffered deeply and is ready to settle scores. The moment Anna reveals that Cassius has been impersonating Nathan, I expect shockwaves to hit nearly every corner of Port Charles. The truth has been buried for far too long, and secrets like that never stay contained forever. In my experience watching this show, the longer a lie survives, the more explosive the fallout becomes when it finally comes out. And judging by everything we're hearing, that explosion may be closer than anyone realizes. I have to admit, the possibility of Cullum finally meeting his end is one of the developments I'm watching most closely. After everything this man has done, it feels like the story has been building toward a reckoning for a long time. And if Anna ends up being the one who pulls the trigger or delivers the final blow, I honestly think it would be fitting. She has suffered because of him. She has lost her freedom because of him. She has carried wounds that go far beyond anything physical. Sometimes in Port Charles, justice arrives through a courtroom. Other times, it arrives through a confrontation that has been years in the making. What makes the situation even more explosive is the cold fusion device. The moment I heard that Liesel had completed the prototype and Cullum was planning to escape with it, I knew things were heading toward disaster. Nobody steals something that dangerous without blood being spilled along the way. Windermere already has a history of secrets, betrayals, and violence, so the idea of a deadly showdown taking place there feels almost inevitable. The fact that Jocelyn steps in to stop Cullum tells me she's about to find herself in deeper trouble than ever before. I keep thinking about Danny and Charlotte being pulled into this mess as well. These young people seem to be getting caught in the middle of conflicts created by adults, and that never ends well in Port Charles. If Cullum's final moments involve Danny, Charlotte, Jocelyn, and a dangerous piece of technology, the emotional fallout could last for months. Even if Cullum dies, the consequences of that night may only be beginning. Another detail that caught my attention is what happens to Jocelyn afterward. Stopping Cullum may make her a hero in some people's eyes, but it also puts a spotlight directly on her connection to the WSB. Secrets have a way of staying hidden until the worst possible moment, and it sounds like Jocelyn's secret life may soon become public knowledge. I've watched enough General Hospital over the years to know that exposure often creates bigger problems than the original crime. Once people learn who she really works for, relationships could be shattered overnight. Meanwhile, Willow's situation looks worse every time new information surfaces. I find it fascinating how quickly someone can go from believing they are in control to realizing the walls are closing in from every direction. The revelation that Willow worked with Sidwell could destroy what little trust remains around her. Add in the strange incident involving Drew and the damage to her home, and it feels as though every hidden secret is preparing to surface at the same time. What really stands out to me is that Willow seems to be running out of allies. Jacinda wants her out of Michael's life. Chase appears ready to establish firm boundaries. Alexis is dropping hints that she knows far more than she's saying. When multiple people start holding pieces of the same secret, that's usually a sign that the truth is getting ready to explode. Around Port Charles, the truth always collects interest before the bill finally comes due. I'm also intrigued by what lies ahead for Scout, Rocco, and Danny. Watching the younger generation step into larger storylines reminds me of how quickly time passes on this show. Rocco returning to Port Charles while feeling betrayed by Dante and Lulu creates the perfect setup for conflict. His growing tension with Danny could easily become one of the emotional centerpieces of the summer. At the same time, Britt's return adds another unpredictable factor. Whenever Britt comes back into the picture, surprises usually follow. Then there's the war between Sonny and Sidwell. If these spoilers are even half accurate, this confrontation could be one of the most violent showdowns we've seen in quite some time. Sidwell has created enemies everywhere he goes, and people like Jordan and Justine may end up paying a terrible price for crossing him. Even if Sonny ultimately wins, victories in Port Charles rarely come without losses. That's one lesson this show has taught me again and again. I'm equally interested in Curtis's legal troubles because they feel grounded in real consequences. For once, this isn't just about secret identities or international conspiracies. This is about a man staring at the possibility of years behind bars. Curtis may believe he has a defense strategy, but if the truth about Brooklyn's involvement comes out, his entire argument could collapse. Sometimes the most dangerous enemy isn't the prosecutor standing across the courtroom. Sometimes it's the truth waiting quietly in the background. By the time summer comes to an end, I have a feeling Port Charles will look very different. Cullum may be gone, Sidwell may finally face justice, and several long-buried secrets may be dragged into the light. But if there's one thing I've learned after years of watching General Hospital, it's that every ending creates the next storm. And from where I'm sitting, it feels like a very big storm is already on the horizon.